an unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encountercast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncountercast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Final Encountercast.
Fallen.
Thanks for joining us today. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Our new time starting at 1 p.m. Even earlier today.
It's technically new.
Because it's daylight savings time.
You wouldn't think that hour would make a huge difference.
Oh my
God.
Does it ever.
Especially when you're so salty about it, you refuse to go to bed an hour early to make up for it.
I know. I was in bed at like 5 last night because I was playing Zelda.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna lie. I considered this morning going, you know what? We should be like, fuck daylight savings time and start at
In
2
protest?
at 2 without saying anything and just be like, it's I don't know what you're talking about.
We
It's 1
don't.
o'clock.
We here don't recognize
That's
daylight
right.
savings time.
That's
A lot
right.
of countries don't. A lot of even some areas of certain time zones in the USA don't do it.
Because it's stupid.
We're a sovereign nation right now.
Let's be honest.
It made sense when people had to work the farmland and they had to be out.
That's
later.
not even the reason why, Nika. I had a YouTube video on Facebook. It said not. That's not the reason.
That's a great source.
That said not. Okay.
Yeah.
Good sentence construction. Welcome to the show.
I was gonna say, was this before or after you shared that stupid Gabe the dog video with me?
It was before that.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. FinalEncountercast.com is the website. I hope that you check out the show. We've got a full archive of all 55 previous shows that we've done. Thanks to your support over at patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. And we want to thank you for your support because you help us do awesome new stuff like Checkpoint. We had a listening party for that earlier this week on Thursday.
Never again.
That was rough. I'm gonna be honest with you. That was a little bit rough. That was way late to be up, especially on the heels of producing the show, which keeps me up until at least 3 or 4 the night that we end up doing the show.
I don't understand why you sent it to him out of order.
I didn't. Oh my god. So there were definitely some issues, but we listened to the show and it was a good time. So I want to thank everyone who tuned in for that and who hung out for that.
Hey, asshole! You guys suck!
Yeah.
Every so often, we'll start doing something like that and just immediately be like, what have we done? And that was 2 segments into that bit where we're just like, oh no.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is that, like, you know, if we had listened, if the station that we were listening to hadn't, like, kind of had issues with the broadcast, they had some technical issues, and we didn't revert to listening to the master file, like, we would have been on a clock like 2 minutes to be able to talk about stuff in the break, because that's all we have, and instead we rambled on for like 30 minutes at a time. So anyway, but checkpointradio.com is where you can check that out. We will be launching podcasts soon, and when we do, if you're already subscribed to this show on the LBR Podcast Network, then guess what? You're not going to have to subscribe anywhere else because we will be syndicating that content through this feed as well. So just letting you know, and that will also go through a name change here pretty soon. And we're pretty excited about that. But until then, you can find that at LBR Podcast Network on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. All right, we got a lot of news to check out. PAX East was this weekend, plus there was just a whole litany of stuff going on.
A battle litany?
No.
Wrong show.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, let's check out what's going on in the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
All right, well, those who make YouTube content featuring Nintendo are no strangers to the perils that can create. The Switch appears to be no different, as a YouTuber by the name of Josh Thomas, who runs a channel called The Bit Block, was flagged for using sound effects from the Switch. Even for Nintendo, that one's kind of chintzy.
I was gonna say, isn't the whole law on that a sound or whatever has to be over a certain amount of time?
I mean, yeah, generally the agreed upon idea is 7 seconds.
And this is just like a sound effect, right?
I think we're talking that, yeah. Oh,
great,
good.
Great. We're gonna get DMCA
Did you add that as a drop?
Yes.
Why? Why would you do that?
This is literally a story about a guy who got flagged for doing that, and now you're doing it.
Why would you do this to us? Oh, good.
What sound effect even is that?
That's the Switch sound effect.
All it sounds like is somebody snapping their fingers with an echo on it.
Okay, there are lots of sound effects on the Switch. What is the Switch sound effect?
You know, whenever there's like the one promotional sound,
the one in the commercial.
Yeah, like when they're like.
Because I have a Switch and I don't recognize that sound
No.
effect.
It's just in the commercial.
It's in the commercial. It's in the trailer. When they have the logo and it goes.
So that's even dumber. It's just in the trailer, not even one that the Switch uses. And
does that mean that we're now going to get in trouble because this jackhole decided to put this in the system?
Probably.
Why did I teach you how to do this?
Thanks, Fat Tuesday.
God damn it. I hate you. Can we move on?
Yes.
Oh, now we're definitely screwed. Oh, we are in so much trouble now. There's no way.
Oh, my God.
This next one's going to end up being us.
So many DMCA takedowns.
Well,
God damn it! Why? You still haven't answered. Why would you? You clearly knew the story.
On a more reasonable lawsuit note, Nintendo's been awarded roughly $9.5 million in damages by a Canadian court after a legal dispute with Go Cyber Shopping and Jeremy King. According to the court, King facilitated the distribution of devices like flash carts and mod chips through Go Cyber and other websites he controlled. The hardware modifications would allow illicitly obtained games to be played on Nintendo consoles.
Yeah, that one's probably warranted.
Yeah, if you do that, they're probably going to be mad about it.
Yeah, that one makes a whole lot of sense. A whole lot more so than... Yeah, damn it.
Speaking of lawsuits, Riot Games won a major one against League Sharp, a company that creates and levels accounts up before selling them to prospective players. Despite creating a shell company in Peru, destroying evidence, and doxing an employee, eventually Riot won the suit to the tune of $10 million and the shuttering of services from League Sharp.
Wait, why? How is that illegal?
How is what illegal?
You're not allowed to level up an account to 30 and then sell it to someone for real money.
Well, that's against their terms of service, so that's a bannable. I don't know how that went. How did that go to? Yeah.
So fine. The account gets banned, but how does they get sued for $10 million?
That's a great question. Did this company sue for damages, or was the game developer suing to shut them down?
Well, they were awarded $10 million in the suit. I think the suit was to shut them down.
Okay. All right. Then it was the game developer that brought the suit.
Yeah. Plus, I would assume that was probably similar to how Blizzard wanted to go after that one company that was making the cheats for Overwatch, because they were technically causing them money by banning people who were using cheats. Those are accounts now that are no longer gonna potentially spend money on the game.
Right.
AFKers beware. Blizzard has announced they will begin banning players who create custom Overwatch games in which they can AFK and collect XP. The practice was always considered a gray area, but no longer.
We're all soldiers now.
Why would that be a gray area? That just sounds stupid and
that
obviously
is so
cheating.
sketchy.
That's obviously cheating.
Jeff Kaplan said that they kind of assumed that this was probably going to happen, so they are going to start implementing some changes. They said they're going to look into, for example, if you've been AFK for so long, being kicked out. He's also said that if you see any matches that have anywhere in their title hey, AFKing for experience, report them and don't ever join them, because they are going to start cracking down. And he says if this doesn't get better before it gets worse, he's like, we will just have to take XP out of custom matches.
Why do custom games give XP?
Well, because you're still playing the game as long as you're not being an asshole about it.
And it's not like...
And clearly people are being assholes about it.
This is basically a way to be all right, hey, let's do some matches, but we don't want to have to deal with the bullshit that is quick play, right? We just want to play with like a bunch of people who know what they're doing, nice challenging stuff, but also get XP in the process for it, which I think is fine as long as people don't abuse the system.
Okay. XP doesn't really give you an advantage; it just gives you loot boxes.
Yeah,
which are just purely cosmetic shit.
But it's endgame.
But here's what I think is really smart on Blizzard's part, and something that I think other developers, especially anyone who's trying to cultivate an online community that's having issues with either hacking or rule breaking or something, is that Jeff Kaplan coming out and clearly stating the problem, clearly stating, don't join these servers, we're going to be cracking down. I mean, you know, signaling that before the actual crackdown comes. I think that's a really important thing that developers too often don't do.
Yes,
that the hammer just comes down.
I'd also like to acknowledge someone in the chat. Agirian Bucket says, but what about the porn RP servers in the custom servers? Because that's a thing.
That's a thing?
People are making custom rooms that's just for like role play sex stuff.
No.
As far as we're aware, yeah, that's fine. As long as you're not going AFK.
That's not, and that's not like you're not benefiting in any way over top of the game's usage. And
Hello, Kitty.
No, it's just gross.
Is this a new thing?
It's just gross.
No, this is basically the evolutionary line of the heel slut subreddit, which we did a story on. That's why I know about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Funny, I don't remember that story.
Yeah. Right.
Speaking of Blizzard laying the ban hammer, they've handed out some bans to top World of Warcraft players for trading dungeon clears for real money.
What?
Some of the accounts banned were leaders of top guilds, so expect a bit of a shakeup in the WoW community.
Now this is actually a lot more substantial than anyone who doesn't play WoW might think. This isn't just like, oh, hey, let me run you through, Battlestar's Wall a bunch of time. Because the way that dungeon running works in World of Warcraft is whenever you do like the heroic versions, or if you get your, I forget what the key was called, but basically that's how you get, the keystone, would get, the dungeons would get harder and harder and harder, and so your potential rewards had a higher and higher and higher item level, and in some instances you could get like raid equivalent gear from doing this kind of stuff. So people were literally paying to win.
Yeah, and MMOs they gotta crack down on that shit. Like, that is pretty clear. See, like, the thing is I think that MMOs for a while, like, they were policing it, and because we know all about Square Enix's anti-RMT task force for 11.
Yep.
Blizzard has also been big on enforcement, but that takes a lot of manpower, and that's really, really difficult. And I think that's what, at least initially, things like microtransactions were meant to combat, was to create your own market so that RMT's secondary market, just the bottom falls out of it.
Yep.
And I mean, admittedly, at first, maybe that was smart, but it's gotten to the point where that is a normative practice in your real money shops.
Yep.
And it's, frankly, I think, turning people off at this point because it's starting to leak into normal games. I mean, For Honor is a great example of this, where it's a system that doesn't require microtransactions, but if you don't want to be super frustrated and play a bajillion matches, then you're going to probably want to fork over like $10-20 for one of those, bonus iron packs.
Right.
And that is really shitty that game companies structure their games to kind of encourage that, or make the XP gain so steep that it's like you got to do something to combat this.
In For Honor, you can even buy like bonus XP percentages, can't you? It's ridiculous.
It is.
And again, it also comes down to, like, is this a free to play game, or is this a game that you had to fork over $60 to grab and sit down with?
That was a $60
That
was a $60 game for sure.
That feels like utter garbage when you have to pay to level up too, like, because the XP curves are ridiculous.
It does. And
I've also been told too that in For Honor, like the difficulty, the skill gap, like, gets huge really fast. So a month from now, if you want to start getting into that game, you're either going to be extremely demoralized at the beginning, have to put in a ton of time to get up there, or fork over a bunch of money.
But look, here's the point that I was driving at, is that these large companies that actually do run MMOs and that do have the financial ability to staff those MMOs properly really have no excuse for having an in-game transaction shop or have any kind of way to subvert their in-game economy. I think that that's really lazy. I think that that's frankly lazy on from a developer standpoint, because you should be putting the effort into supporting your community and making sure that your in-game economy is fair and thrives. And I hate the idea that that's the norm now. Yeah. And I mean, it's nice to see some companies like this punished, but it's taken so long to get there too.
And again, just to reiterate, this was the dungeon runs were being done for real money,
right?
Not in-game currency, which is actually still a pretty common practice.
I think that's just as bad. I mean, you're literally changing your market from currency, which has been devalued, as everyone kind of knows, and that tends to happen the longer your MMO is out. And then they found the thing that does have value and found a way to be able to sell it, and that's really shitty.
And that's kind of the point too, as you talked about the RMT task force and things like that were effective at the beginning. But RMT companies weren't just sitting there like with their thumbs in their asses saying, oh, well, I guess that's it for us. No, they're looking for, all right, well, how can we get around this?
Exactly.
What's the next thing that players will pay for?
Right, because they consider themselves a business, just like anything else.
Just like a drug dealer would be.
Right, yeah.
It's a legitimate business.
Sure.
It's kind of a jump from drug dealer to RMT, but I guess we can go with that.
But it's not as much of a jump as you would like it to be.
I mean, if you
I hold them in the same value.
I mean, that's not the worst analogy that I've ever heard. It's not. I mean,
except RMTs are providing a service and drug dealers are killing people. There's a huge difference.
You don't think that's a service?
Mexican drug cartels are literally throwing bodies into pits.
Look, if you consider an account permaban sort of like a permanent character death, then you know what? Same shit. Same shit. It's a remarkable. If the analogy holds up remarkably well,
it's just a bunch of ones and zeros, Nate. It's not a real person. It doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, but like
Omnics aren't real people.
They're
bots.
Drugs are destroying your body, and RMT destroys like any moral stance that you might have ever.
Yeah. I'll
look on his face. The Quake Champions closed beta is set to get underway shortly, and we've gotten a look at its first champion, the stealthy and agile Nyx. Signups for the closed beta are still open over at Quake's website. You can check that out, quake.bethesda.com.
Now, back in the original Quake, did they have different champions you played as?
This game is like it's still your traditional Quake, but the players that you play as definitely have different abilities and movements and stuff like that.
I don't remember.
This is Quake Watch. Okay?
Quake Watch. I don't remember anything about like the older Quake games. I played some of them, but I
was always Doom. I didn't play Quake.
So the stealthy, agile assassin Tracer.
Cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
You know what?
She does have a cool ability that she can turn like invisible for a short period of time.
Now, hold on. Now, granted, I mean, obviously Overwatch is really, really popular, right, with like its art style and stuff. And I mean, I wouldn't necessarily discount like a game that's more or less the same genre but takes on more of like a mature, darker theme.
I don't know. It just seems like everyone's doing it too at the same time. It sort of takes away what Quake was, I think. I
think that's the biggest thing is I'm like, this isn't what I remember Quake being like, but maybe I'm remembering.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, what do you remember Quake being?
I don't. You want to know what the game the shooter of the era that I plugged the most time into?
GoldenEye.
Hold on.
It's GoldenEye.
Unreal Tournament.
GoldenEye for me.
Unreal Tournament would have been my guess.
Turok.
Perfect Dark.
Oh, Perfect Dark's mine.
Blood.
I played so much Turok.
Blood.
No.
I loved Blood. Blood was such a good game. Yes, it was.
Groaning noise.
Yes, it was.
I've never even heard of Blood.
Yeah, Blood. Oh my God. Same. Blood was awesome.
I don't know that game either.
You could decapitate zombies and then kick their head around. It was great.
And you make fun of me for Shaq Fu.
That was a totally different show.
That's a totally different show and a bit that no one's not going to know for 2 months
a segment that no one's heard. Good job. Way to...
Point still stands. You
Holy
can't criticize
shit.
me for that anymore.
You're the worst.
In a cool bit of news, the casting choices for the Ghost in the Shell live-action movie's Japanese dub have been selected, and it's none other than the original cast that voice-acted the 1995 anime movie.
Oh my gosh.
That is awesome.
Get this shit out of here.
I love it.
Out with the
so
old.
awesome.
Out with the old and in with the new. We need some real actors like Bob Saget and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Honestly,
For the Japanese localization of the film?
Yes.
Yes.
No,
Make them learn Japanese. Fuck it.
Matt
Bring
Damon
in
can
Michael
do it.
Cranston.
Tell me that you wouldn't want to actually at least listen to that dubbing. Or
You know what it would
at
be
least
like?
Be behind the scenes for that.
You know what it would be like? It would be like the first round of anime dubs that made its way in the United States in like the early 80s. Like the quality associated for Japanese people. Like I think we can give that back to them.
Yeah,
now. This is a great way to do it. I like this idea.
Just a black title card on the front said, "This is what we had to put up with."
Who else could
Enjoy.
we? Who else would you put in that?
I want to know
Matt
why
Damon.
Bob Saget was the first name out of your mouth. Like Leonardo DiCaprio's still pretty relevant, right? But Bob Saget?
I was trying to think of that guy who was the last samurai.
Tom
Cruise.
That's who I was trying to say.
And you came with the father from Full House?
Well, they had the same number of syllables in their name.
To be fair, to be fair, he has told one of the best aristocrats jokes, hands down, ever.
But you think Fat
of all
Tuesday
time.
knows that?
No, probably not.
The only culture Fat Tuesday has is the bacteria between his teeth.
Try speaking American. It's the only language I understand.
Dude, I kind of want to like listen to the Japanese localization with American subtitles.
Who else? No, seriously. Let's figure out some other pieces of casting. Who else would you put in that?
We need some females.
Yeah, Seinfeld. I want to put up Seinfeld. I think that he would be
As
good.
who?
I don't care because he just did such an excellent job in the B movie.
Who is that?
Give him like one of the worst characters he wouldn't actually like Beto.
But yeah, Jerry Seinfeld's. But oh
There
my
you
god,
go.
okay. No, I want
Who's the chick in Something About Mary?
something about Drew Barrymore.
No,
Meg Ryan. That's
Is
my
that who it is?
Meg Ryan?
Meg Ryan? That's not Meg Ryan.
It's not Meg Ryan. The
Well, I don't
blonde,
think it was.
Cameron Diaz.
There you go. Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah.
No, I was talking
That's
about her
absolutely
friend.
right.
How about
The old
Scarlett
lady?
Johansson?
Oh my god, I want Gilbert Gottfried as Bateau.
Can we put Dwayne The Rock Johnson in too?
Dwayne?
What?
Oh my god.
What? Dwayne?
I like how we've cast Bateau twice because no one can remember any of the other fucking names of the characters.
Yeah, actually, Seinfeld would probably be better as the one actual like
The one guy
with the blonde hair, like the one who was like not enhanced at all. That one guy that doesn't have any enhancements, whatever his name was.
Man,
that's who Seinfeld.
I gotta tell you, it's almost like the first time I watched this movie, I was distracted by something at the age of 13. Oh my god.
This is the best casting and clearly who we should teach Japanese to bring the Japanese localization version of this film to life.
Matern X01 wants Nick Nolte in this movie.
Morgan Freeman, somebody says.
Morgan Freeman as everyone.
No, the Green Ranger. What was his name?
Jason David
Frank.
Yeah.
That guy.
There you go.
Guy with 3 first names. Oh my
Which
god.
one is it? Anyway.
Jordan Vogt Roberts, director of the upcoming Metal Gear Solid live-action movie, claims it could be the first, quote, great video game movie. If you want to get a taste for the director's style, you can check out Kong of Skull Island in theaters now.
Is
that sarcasm?
Let me tell you something, though. I gotta say that whoever put the trailer together for Kong Skull Island knows how to put a fucking trailer together.
Sure does.
Okay, it looks like a trip, right? But I'm not going to say that it's a good trip.
No,
right?
I have no idea. To me, on its outset, like from the trailer, the reasons that I would see that film are John C. Reilly
with a katana.
Yeah, number one, hands down.
Tom Cruise.
Hands down. Second, I like the monster effects do look really good. I think it's a better setup for like a movie monster plot,
a kaiju movie,
than the other King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong, and I guess it has some sort of tangential relationship to the Godzilla reboot movie that had come out with Bryan Cranston. Yeah. Visually, it looks great, and again, the pacing of the trailer is just so fucking impressive.
I saw it. I wouldn't see it again.
You did see it? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. You see a lot of movies.
I do. I try to see one movie a week.
Wow.
Yeah, I can see 2 this week.
How do you have that kind of money?
How do you have that kind of time?
How do you have that kind of desire to see these shitty movies?
See, he asked the best of those 3 questions because it's not that expensive to go to the movies, and it takes 2 hours.
The only time that you'll ever hear that about Fat.
Except he didn't even really realize the question he was asking.
Yeah. It was out of his mind. It was like he went into some sort of trance state, and by the time it was half out, he was like, huh? What am I saying?
I don't remember what I said, actually. I did good, though.
No, but I think that this is cool, though. Do
you actually have hope for a Metal Gear Solid movie?
God, no.
Oh, come on.
No.
Nick, I wasn't talking to you. You have bad opinions.
Maybe.
Let's be real, though.
You do?
I might, yeah.
I don't know.
All right, because here's the thing. I'm not gonna like say that. Look, Kong Island looks like a terrible movie, so the director obviously means it's gonna be a terrible movie because if they have different writers, that's really what it comes down to. They're the real heroes, okay? I feel like just knowing what I know of Metal Gear Solid and seeing what I've seen of the little bit that I've watched.
Yeah.
I feel like you're gonna need like your who's the guy that wrote Twin Peaks?
David Lynch.
I feel like you need like a David Lynch to write a Metal Gear Solid movie.
I feel like with how in-depth Metal Gear's story is, you know what, they would just dumb it down to some kind of stupid plot that has nothing to do with anything that Metal Gear actually stands for, and it would be horrible.
I just want to make it a Metal Gear Solid movie?
Especially because we know Kojima wouldn't be able to have any input.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you were to write an actual Metal Gear Solid movie like the actual game and then put it out there for the mass audiences, it would still probably flop because they'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
Can we just hang on? Hold on,
guys. Stop.
What are we hanging on to?
We're talking about Metal Gear Solid, the Shadow Moses incident. Like, do you guys fucking forget how bananas crazy that game is and how much of like an action movie it already is? Like Metal Gear Solid, yeah, like as you start adding layers upon layers and like scraping things away,
you get onions.
It becomes
there's still so
it
much
becomes something
in the first game though. Like you see that there's all these like people pretending to be other people and who knows what's really going on behind the scenes. Like there's so much intrinsically that makes you think
it's all action movie shit though. All of it is action movie shit. The lore, like the bigger lore pieces aren't even laid out for like another 2 games. You know what I mean?
That's
like
not true.
Until 3, yeah, it is because Metal Gear Solid 2 was literally just a continuation of post Shadow Moses, what Snake and Otacon were doing post Shadow Moses, and then refocuses on to Raiden. So like it's not until 3 that maybe the end of 2, the very end of 2.
President with Liquid or what's his face, Solidus pretending to be for all that stuff like going on. It already sets the lore up.
It's like straight out of 24. Come on.
I will only go see this movie if it's got Senator Armstrong as the bad guy.
Like honest to God, it's all action movie beats in the game.
Okay, but then are you saying that it should be a one shot? Because if that does well, they're going to want to do sequels, and then that's not going to be good.
All right, I have a question, Mr. Nate.
What? Why?
Raise your hand.
Can we?
This better be fucking good.
Can we cast the Metal Gear movie?
Get out! No.
David Schwimmer for Otacon.
This is.
If David Hayter doesn't play Snake, then nobody should.
Oh,
Amy Schumer can play the girl.
Get out. Who can play the girl?
Scarlett Johansson as
Meryl.
Yes, that's her name. I knew she was a Pokemon. Kooky here has a quote for us from the director that says, "That is a property that I will fight tooth and nail to make sure is done properly because it's so easy to screw up and so easy for a studio to try and make it into G.I. Joe or try and make it into Mission Impossible or try to make it into something that it's not. Metal Gear Solid needs to be exactly what it needs to be, which is Metal Gear Solid."
Yeah. So, I mean, that statement right there gives me a whole lot of hope. I think visually the guy has a great handle on how to present a movie. And I mean, I'm definitely excited to see what happens. He sounds like he's a fan. He sounds like he's a fan of the franchise. And again, it's all fucking action movie beats anyway.
I actually like the idea that he wants to get Kojima's input, and Konami's like, no, that's not in the contract. So he like secretly like he downloads Kick, right? And he's like sends it to Kojima, and they have to like communicate over Kick.
Dude, I mean,
Kick.
What? I would further believe that he's communicating with Kojima via carrier pigeon before I believe he's talking to him on Kick.
Konami could intercept those pigeons, though.
They had to download WhatsApp to be able to have a fucking conversation. No, but I mean, like, I do think, because Kojima did set that up. Like, Kojima kind of made that whole thing happen. I would think that, you know, if they wanted to back channel some input from Kojima, then they could do that. And Kojima's such a fucking movie freak that there's no way that...
But Konami owns the whole IP, right?
Yeah.
So couldn't they just be like, you can't talk to him?
I don't think you can do that. Can you honestly say like, no, you're not allowed to ever talk to Kojima?
No.
I think you can always just like pick up the phone and talk to him.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No.
Like you can't put him on the fucking payroll.
No, yeah, that's it. Like they can't say like I want to put his name in the credits. They'll be like, no.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't put his name in the credits. You can't put him on the fucking payroll. But you can't like Konami's not gonna bug the dude's phone and be like pull him in on Monday morning. So we see that you made 3 calls to Mr. Kojima. You know that's not okay.
Here's another little tidbit from Kooky saying the director seems ready to talk about. He recently told Collider, Metal Gear Solid is probably the most important franchise to me on the planet. It is such genius, idiosyncratic work, and being able to spend time with Kojima recently has been like a
there you
dream.
go.
He's the best, and his whole team is the best.
There you go.
We are working on the script.
There you go.
Oh wow.
That gives me hope.
I see. See?
Well, Clint Eastwood would be Ocelot. I'd be cool with that.
Let's complain about it.
That actually kind of would be kind of badass. He's probably only got one more movie in him, though.
Great. All right, so Mr. News Guy, can we talk about a game that doesn't suck ass for about 5 seconds?
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Well, that didn't take long. Great. All right.
Great.
Mass Effect Andromeda is nothing if not ambitious. While ME3 was notable for having 670 speaking characters, Andromeda has upped the ante with over 1,200 speaking characters in it, according to developer Mac Walters.
Jesus, did you even
But
try?
this game is so huge. Like everything that I hear about it just seems like they're doubling it from the last one.
Just like your boner. We get it.
The galaxy
We got
like
the best
map
voices.
is twice as big, twice as many speaking roles.
We're going to build a wall around the galaxy.
Nika, how hard are you right now?
I don't know.
Oh, a little dissension.
What does that mean, Nika?
Are you not fully erect right now, Nika?
That's not quite possible for me.
You can't get
Your
erect
nipples
over
can be
this?
erect, Nika,
You
okay?
can be
It's
you can be
physiology.
metaphorically erect, Nika.
You could be nipply erect.
I guess.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Why aren't you acting excited?
Yeah, I sense a lot of hesitation there.
You don't get to be on my Mass Effect multiplayer team now.
Okay, I'm okay. I have pre-ordered Mass Effect. I'm excited for Mass Effect, but I'm cautiously excited. Okay. Siren especially has been showing me so many weird clips and videos of things that are just not good, and you would expect more from a team like BioWare's.
Wait, why is Surin trying to bring down your mood? That's our job. He has to build you back up. He's horning in on our territory.
I am glad that there are speaking characters specifically. Like, I'm a bit disappointed in Zelda for like having speaking characters in the cutscenes, but then you instantly go and talk to people and you're like, I'm like, really? Like, you can't just talk. You already hired voice actors. So like, I do like the having a million jillion characters voice is cool, but there's other things that are making me cautious about Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Look, Cookie says that I convinced her to get Mass Effect Andromeda, and she hasn't even played any of the other Mass Effect series.
Yeah, but like Cookie's easy to influence.
Yeah, that's true. Let's just get Senpai to show Kooky some of these gameplay trailers.
Someone wants to take Nika's spot on the the multiplayer team, but I can't see who it is.
That's Volkai.
Probably have.
There you go.
You're assuming I was ever going to be on your team in the first place.
Well, you were. You were in my top 4.
Oh, really?
But you're being dumb now. So you can't be. Now I have to get Davey to play the economically conscious Krogan.
It's okay. Our character mouths will be like hanging off the screen like this anyway.
Can I play as
BioWare can't animate mouth worth of shit, so.
Can I play as a Hanar yet?
Probably not.
Well, what the fuck is the
They
point
introduced the Volus at the end of Mass Effect 3.
I don't know where.
What's a bolus?
I don't know where this sudden cynicism from Nika is coming from.
Because
It's
apparently
like you switched up. It's like
because apparently
Fantasy 15 all over
Senpai
again.
showed her like some beta footage with like guns that were being held backwards and shit.
No, It's like recent footage.
From what though?
Hang on. Nika,
Ask sir, and he finds all these things.
Nika plays both of the FF15 demos. Watches all the supplemental shit. Defends the game all the way through to the end, and decides that without playing but the demos were shit.
Yeah, but Noctis
without seeing a demo, just on a couple of pieces of beta footage, you're like all ready to bail on Mass Effect. Wow!
But Noctis was never holding the sword by the blade.
Yes,
that's the difference.
Thank you.
That would have been that. Admittedly, that would have been terrifying to see that. Like,
I'm sorry. There have been plenty of other glitches that have happened.
I'm pretty sure in the entire.
Give me a fucking break, man.
Yeah, playing through the actual finished product of FF15. How many times would I be doing a link bonus? And like, for example, Gladiolus would grab the air, which is supposed to be Noctis, on a spear and stab into something that was 5 feet to their fucking side. That's essentially what you're complaining about.
I always got slung around my body.
That happened to me a lot.
Oh my god!
People
I haven't even
a lot about graphics glitches. We only saw 1 or 2, maybe.
I've played maybe 15 hours of the fucking game, and I've seen graphics glitches.
I've never even played the game before, and I've seen it like 20 times. Okay,
Jesus.
I didn't see.
You're an idiot.
I only saw graphic glitches when doing like the link combos, but I saw them all the time.
I never really saw them, and maybe I just didn't notice. The only thing we ever had happen was Aranea get stuck, like jumping up and down instead of going back to her ship.
RNA had a lot of weird stuff.
That's the only one I ever really.
I had car glitches.
I fell through the floor one time in a car.
Yeah, so glitches happen.
Yeah, like
Nika, this is a really dumb reason. He's showing you a bunch of videos, but since that's all you've seen, you think like, oh my god, this game is so full of glitches.
And I haven't said that. That's not what I said. You're taking everything I'm saying out of context.
I'm questioning the consistency of your dogma. That's
yes, you are no longer part of my Mass Effect team.
This is so weird. We're trying to encourage Nika.
Are you gonna play Mass Effect?
I never knew I was part of it.
You didn't. All you did was become a Spectre. Then you quit the galaxy.
Questioning, this one wants to know if I can become an Elcor.
Probably not.
What the fuck?
I'm pretty sure that
no.
All right.
Anyway, they showed him a multiplayer preview at PAX, which got me excited because that was the only thing that I was questioning. I'm like, I hope they don't just like clone it and use all the exact same assets and be like, there you go, it was good before, so we ain't got to do anything with it. All new maps and enemies, and you get like jetpacks and stuff like that now, and it looks really.
Is it still all like player versus environment though, or is it not player versus player?
Nope, it's still like your horde mode type deal, but it was so much fun in ME3.
It was a lot of fun.
Cool. The Greens Party in Western Australia.
Excuse me, we weren't done talking about Mass Effect.
We weren't?
Fine. All right, I guess we're done.
Are we good?
Go ahead, newsman.
The Greens
Can
Party.
I be a Krogan?
Yes.
I can?
Of course you can.
Now, actually, haven't they not shown any Quarians yet, though?
I think there was...
Is that the cat people?
No. Cat people.
Stop talking. Go on with the news.
Nate, you want to go get some like candy or something? I can't drink anymore. I want
Candy?
booze. I have to switch up to something else. I can't drink booze.
Nate, do you want some candy in your hand?
I've got pot. You want pot?
Callie has a van outside. This is candy.
I could do with a migraine. Why not?
Just go in there and get me some candy, Nate.
Yeah, just go in there and don't tell anyone where you're going.
I'm gonna.
The candy is my penis.
He's got a big couch in the back of the van. He asks me to move. When I try to help him, he just runs up behind me with an ether rag, throws me in the bottom of the well, puts the lotion on its skin.
Or else it gets the hose again.
This is for making fun of me, asshole.
Shit, yeah!
You can move on.
All right.
I think we can move on.
Okay.
All right.
Or cock!
Thank you.
The Greens Party in Western Australia is looking... Oh, my God.
Go ahead. I said go ahead.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
The Greens Party in Western Australia is looking to help cultivate the video games industry in Western Australia. They've proposed a plan to allot $4 million to indie developers in the area over the next 4 years. Square Enix announced they have signed Bulkhead Interactive to publish the studio's World War II shooter Battalion 1944. The game, originally funded on Kickstarter, will release on PC, PS4, and Xbox One this summer. Previously, Bulkhead is best known for their first-person puzzle game, The Turing Test.
I don't know why.
So Square Enix is getting in on that first-person shooter World War stuff, right?
Well, they're publishing it.
And
all right, so it might actually be good then.
It might be decent. They're just publishing it.
Getting the puzzle game makers to...
Hey, to be fair, those first-person shooter guys made Horizon, and it's brilliant.
Okay. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fans of the Outlast series were treated to some news this week that Red Barrels will be releasing Outlast Trinity, a bundle containing the new Outlast 2 along with the original game and the Whistleblower DLC. It will be releasing the same day as Outlast 2, April 25th in North America for both PS4 and Xbox One for $39.99.
That's such a great deal.
Pucker your buttholes.
Get ready for cringe.
Well, in most cases, if you want like the first game along with like the new one that's coming out, you have to pre-order it. Like I missed that with Dishonored 2 because I want to get Dishonored for the PC as well. And I missed out on that. But this one, they're just like, yeah, all right, we're just going to sell all of it right together for you.
Yeah, and $40 is a sweet price point for 3 games. Like, those games are well worth it.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
That said, if you're not ready for, like...
Dick chopping
and...
that's
finger cutting.
I think if you can handle dick chopping, you can handle finger cutting, Callie.
I don't know.
What if your fingers are dicks?
I don't know. I feel like the finger cutting scene might have been more visceral.
Are you fucking kidding me? Wait, what? Go.
They were pretty brutal.
What if your fingers are dicks?
I feel like Marvel needs to hire you for their what if comics.
What if?
Oh God.
What if Wolverine's claws were penises?
Everything would just become penises. Everything.
Now, hold
what
on.
if Cyclops shot penises?
I was thinking the same thing.
Oh God.
What if Iron Man was the Iron Dildo?
No, that's too dumb. His suit would have to be made of penises.
Oh my God.
What if Rogue...
A foreskin?
I don't know. What if she was just a... What if she absorbed dicks into her... Wait.
If you want proof, by the way, that at some point Marvel stopped caring and stopped trying, it is the What If series. Dear God.
Oh my God.
12 members of the Beast...
I could just see the 3 dicks coming out. Too.
Coming out, right?
Okay, now hold on.
They wouldn't even make the shink noise. They would be like...
Now hold on.
That's the browser's logo or Logan parody.
Oh my God.
Now I don't think the dicks would stay in Wolverine's hands. I think they would just always be limp.
Oh my God.
And then when he needs them out, he gets erect and fills them with blood, and that's how they get.
Sometimes he have trouble getting it up, like
XXX
later in his life.
It would be called XXX-Men Wolverine orgasms.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Do you remember the girl in X-Men 3 who could just shoot chunks of wood?
No.
What? The whole thing she could just, like, that was her power. She could shoot like the chunks of wood out.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it was X-Men 3.
X-Men 3 got really stupid. Really stupid.
It sure did.
Holy shit.
Sneaky cloak. Gambit wouldn't just throw dicks. He would throw exploding dicks, okay?
He could only super kinetically charge dicks. I mean, like, he couldn't kinetically charge anything else but dicks.
He'd carry a bag of dildos with him.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Or like, if he ran out of the dildos, then he'd have to, like, rip dicks off to be able to...
use his own.
That's right.
So wait, if Rogue touched a guy in this universe, she'd grow a dick, right?
She'll just become that guy's
or
dick.
she becomes the dick. Okay.
Now, see, Morph gets the
Mystique's
short end of the stick because his dick just turns into whatever dick he wants. But that's not really that applicable in, like, a fighting situation.
Mystique already has these powers.
Beast is just a blue dick.
Well, that's how it is currently.
So nothing changes for Beast.
Nothing at all.
Professor Triple X just sits around in his wheelchair thinking about dicks all day. But he knows everyone's dick.
Still played by Patrick Stewart for some reason.
Who ironically enough looks like a dick.
Magneto can only attract hard dicks. Like, if you're limp, it doesn't work.
He makes everybody hard. That's his power.
There
Power
you
of
go.
magnetism.
There you go. I like that. Toad just gives really great blowjobs.
Are you, Nika? Are you not going to contribute to this discussion at all? What do we even have you here for?
Not at all.
You don't want to give us like some semen trivia or anything like that?
Not today.
Might as well go. Well, I don't even know what the news story was.
I have no idea.
Something about dicks, I think.
We got there from the Outlast story.
Chopping dicks off. Chopping dicks.
The X-Men dicks. Yeah, I don't know how we. Okay.
Storm makes everyone wet. Thank you, Carla. Golden showers all around.
Oh God! And Jubilee can just shoot fireworks because she's useless.
She's exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. Just dick-shaped fireworks.
Colossus, just a giant metal penis.
There you go.
Again, nothing changes.
Like the silver bullet type of dildo, right? Like the one that has like the mirror chrome shine on it.
Doesn't even have balls. It's just the bullet.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Those are really weird when you have to wipe shit off of them. That's just not a good look for that little sex toy. Just saying.
Okay, is shit on any sex toy a good look?
No, but some hide it a little bit better. Like black dildos, like they tend to hide.
Wow, that's racist.
It's just a fact.
Can we move on now?
Not all poop is black, Nate.
No, but just saying it tends to. I mean,
like this morning, mine was green for some reason.
My God!
Do we have a green dildo?
Did you?
We can shit on. I'm asking because I really gotta shit now. That would really help things along.
The show has come so off the rails.
Did you eat just like an entire bag of Skittles? Like an entire like pound bag of Skittles? How do you turn your shit green? What did you eat?
I'm not a shitologist.
What did you eat? What did you do?
A shitologist?
Shitologist, Nate. I'm not a fecal mancer, okay?
There's certain like vegetables and certain things have chemicals that'll do that.
He's not. Look at him. Look at him.
Oh,
He's not eating fucking vegetables,
Okay,
Nika.
Is he sick and drinking Gatorade? That'll do it too.
I am drinking Gatorade because I was sick.
Okay,
Gatorade will definitely do it.
The mystery is solved.
There you go.
Thank you, Nika.
You're welcome.
Have we ever done a show that has come this off the rails?
I'm sure we have.
We had like a 10-minute discussion on sperm and dick last week that wasn't this ridiculous.
Or cock. Show's just getting better with time.
Well, speaking of Beast, 12 members of the Beast crew, a team that organizes an annual Smash tournament, quit the organization after the group's leader was accused of sexual harassment. In a statement, the group's leader, Lolex, was accused of making advances on another member of the team and propositioning her, and on one occasion, an underage girl with alcohol and, quote, strong medication.
Whoa!
Okay, that's not an allegation you want coming your way.
Whoa! Underage, alcohol, and meds?
And strong medication. That's rough.
How many people resigned?
12.
12.
And when 12 people resign, that says to me that a lot of people on the staff had a feeling this might be going on.
Oh, yeah.
This is not something that was out of left field for anybody.
No. Yeah. I think like something like that comes to light most of the time. If you think your boss is of good character, or if that person is of good character, you give them some time for some of the evidence to well out.
This was the case where they said, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. That is sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, to be fair, how many people are part of the Beast crew?
I do not know.
Because if it was like 13, then yeah. But if there's like 2,400...
It's a indie esports tournament. It's not that many.
Orbo and Maternix at the same time got off Bill Cosby. I'll give you that.
It is my headcanon now that in his spare time, Bill Cosby runs esports tournaments. That is what he does now. That's why we haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, that's why. A funny moment at this weekend's Final Round 20th anniversary event as Doza, a BlazBlue Central Fiction competitor, initially turned down the congratulatory handshake of his opponent, Dogura. He thought that it was the first to win 3 games and had to be informed a couple of times that he only needed to win 2 before he finally started freaking out in excitement and, of course, accepting the handshake.
The video of this is hysterical.
Oh, it's so good if you get a chance to watch it. Beating a former EVO finalist certainly has to be a sign that you've made it in the fighting game community.
Too funny.
This is a great great video of him just the guy like offers a handshake. He's like, no, he's like let's go, and then the other guy and then he's like, no, 2, you're good, and then he like looks over to the guy who's running the event like, 2. Oh my god! Then he like freaks out.
This would have been a video that we could have shown instead of having to describe it.
Why couldn't we see it?
Click the link. It's right there.
Because Joe, Callie, whatever the fuck your name is.
Because we're all super we're gonna get this channel banned anyway because of Switch sound effects. We might as well just start showing video at will now.
I can hit that.
Well, no, but I mean the reason that I put that on there was to show the highlight.
Oh, okay.
There's actually another video that would have been fun to watch too that Fat Tuesday here shared with us of I think it was like a league guy winning a match and he like freaked out and he jumped up and he hit a screen.
No, he was playing Overwatch.
Oh, was it Overwatch? Yeah. He hit some expensive looking screen on the ceiling and it fell down. He was like, oh no!
Oh my god!
And he was like freaking out and like some dude, he's like, it's fine. He just starts bowing to him over and over again.
Oh no!
Aww.
Esports blunders are some of the best. There's great compilation videos of them out there. Remember?
By the way, when we inevitably talk about that on Checkpoint, we need to have the actual the actual sound. Yeah.
Remember Terra?
No, let's move on.
Yeah,
Yes.
boobs.
Yeah, that free-to-play MMO from 2012.
With bouncy boobs.
With the underage chick in it?
That's the one.
I guess.
Wait,
Gross.
what?
Oh, that Fox girl thing. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, but the ones with the big tits aren't the underage Fox girl, right?
This is the one.
I don't know.
This is the one where you could fly.
That's Aeon.
Oh shit!
No, this is Terra.
I don't remember this.
I just know
one.
that there's boobs.
Oh,
in
she's
Terra.
from Final Fantasy VI. Part Esper.
Stop talking.
Well, believe it or not,
Penises?
Terra is still hanging around and has actually announced plans to expand onto the Xbox One and PS4 this year. The game seems a natural fit for consoles, as one of the larger complaints is that the control scheme feels awkward as hell on PC. I can't believe that game still exists. I had no idea.
Yeah, me neither.
Boobs, man.
An artist by
but I mean, I think that it's kind of important to note because like currently there's really only, I mean, for a long time, Final Fantasy XI was one of the only MMOs to be on console. There was EverQuest Online Adventures that never really picked up, but it was a game that was completely separate in every single way from EverQuest. It was an entirely different game. So, obviously Final Fantasy XIV continues that onto the PS3 and subsequently onto the PS4. And then there's Elder Scrolls Online. And DC, I think DC is also another one that's available on consoles, but like that's kind of it. Like the idea of MMOs on consoles is like kind of a growing thing, and it's interesting to see Terra trying to get into that game.
And that's the thing for like
so late.
It's not cheap to expand onto different platforms.
No.
The game must be doing fairly okay for it to be able to make a move like this.
Probably with the pedophilia community.
Could well be. I've seen some of the characters in that game.
Neverwinter is apparently also on consoles as well.
Neverwinter still exists? That's an IP that's still being developed for?
They made a new one.
Really?
It's not
daytime.
It's not Neverwinter Nights.
Oh,
daytime.
Neverwinter Nights is a soul.
Yeah, I was like, Neverwinter Nights was one of my all-time favorite games.
Neverwinter is a game. It was a few years ago, I think.
Yeah, Neverwinter came out a couple of years ago, and I want to say that a lot of it was based off of D&D sorts of structures. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole of Neverwinter Nights and all that was based off D&D.
Okay, yeah, I think people looked at it a little bit more as an analog for D&D than it was like a continuation of Neverwinter Nights, although I got like halfway through Neverwinter Nights, which is to say
I liked that game.
I plugged about 50 fucking hours into Neverwinter Nights.
Halfway.
And I looked at a walkthrough of like where I was, and I was just like, fuck it. I don't have the time for this.
Neverwinter Nights is straight up one of those games where you spend no less than 60 hours thinking, the next dungeon has to be the end of the game,
my
right?
God.
I have to be at the final boss.
I thought that at least 4 times, which is why I went and looked up the walkthrough, and I was like, oh my God, this just keeps going.
I liked that game. It was fun.
That game was really good.
It was a good game, but I didn't have it in me to finish.
Neverwinter Nights was one of the first times where I ever remember being impressed by AI. By the game's AI. Like, it was pretty decent.
That's fair.
Yeah, it did have pretty decent AI.
Yeah.
An artist by the name of Andrew Vickers created a pretty cool statue out of paper-mache comics that he calls Paperboy. The problem is that it turns out some of those comics were first editions, and one of them even was Avengers #1.
Whoa!
And a few other of those.
A lot.
Yeah, some of those other titles, all in all, it added up to be about 20,000 euros worth of comics. In fact, that Avengers #1 is 10,000 by itself.
Yeah, that comes out to about $25K US dollars.
Yeah,
but don't worry, he sold the sculpture for $700.
A comic expert notably pointed out that it would have been cheaper to sculpt the statue out of Italian marble.
Wow.
Yeah, basically this guy found like a box of comics in like an abandoned skiff and was like, well, I figured if it was worth anything, somebody wouldn't have left it there.
Hang on, here's the thing.
Oh, God, you should always check before. Oh, my God.
Hang on, he missed. No. This artist is retarded, and not for the reason you think he is, okay? Because he missed out on a golden opportunity to say that was a purposeful choice.
Yes,
I was saying something about the nature of what comic books are worth, and by the way, $100,000. Like, he missed that opportunity,
dude,
to make that a purposeful choice, even if it was an accident.
Yes,
and write it off as an artistic choice. And dude, then you just increase the thing,
and everyone would have believed it, because as soon as I saw that article title, I was just like, oh, this fucking artist asshole.
I thought it was on purpose.
Everybody would have been so outraged, and it would have got so much further than just, oh, shit.
Instead, the reaction is, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and it should be noted, too, that he's a budding artist. So he hasn't, so he's not famous. He doesn't make money.
He's not rich.
He's like $20,000 would have been like right up my alley.
Yeah, this is why he's a budding artist and not a real artist.
But again, though, like, I'm sorry, if you have any artistic flair or intention in your art, that would have been. I mean, how is that not the first thing you think of? Like, somebody
I meant to, like, even it's human reaction just to say meant to do that.
Yeah, like your ego doesn't kick in at that point and go, yeah, that was totally. I meant to do that. Right? Yeah, no, I knew that.
Accidentally put a $10,000 comic in that is just like, how could anyone admit to that?
Right.
Matern Exo1 in the chat says, I was going to make an art piece out of $10,000 of SNES carts I found in a box.
Which would have been funny had we not reported that box was
found.
Yeah,
I know.
But I mean, still though, like, even if you did decide to do that, like, if that's what you did with it, like that is a statement in and of itself.
But here's the thing: I feel like, because obviously the news that you have like $20,000 worth of comics here probably hit him really hard.
Right.
So even if he would have had the foresight to say like, "Oh, I meant to do that," it probably would have been something like, "Yeah, totally meant to do that."
As he's choking back tears.
I need to take a moment. I
have to go reflect.
Still though, still, he could have gotten 100,000 for that easy, especially with all of the play that it would have gotten. You're right, Robbie. If you would have inspired outrage instead of pity,
and then just put it up on auction.
Oh my God!
He said he was
had to do.
Oh my God!
He said he wanted to try to get a hold of Nicolas Cage because he's known for like liking comics and spending ridiculous.
This guy's
amounts
a
of money.
fucking moron. This guy. No.
You're some kind of moron. You know that?
No artistic flair. None whatsoever.
He should get a different line of work.
Yeah. No shit.
Maybe he should be called terrible artist instead of budding artist.
Shut up.
There is a difference. Know the difference.
Blizzard is seeing some backlash as they announce the price of packs are going up in Hearthstone for many regions. While the U.S. is not in the list of regions going up, many European and African countries will be seeing packs increase in cost by as much as 30%. Combined with the removal of adventures in favor of 3 expansions a year, many people are expressing concern over the game's future, and many are actually even switching over to Gwent.
Gwent? Why not Duelist?
Gwent is the best.
Gwent is garbage.
Fat Tuesday, you're going to switch over to Gwent? Come on.
Gwent. Get out of
Gwent
here.
is
No,
terrible.
he's playing Duelist now.
No, it's called Eternal.
Whatever.
Eternal is basically Magic with the serial numbers filed off, but with actually a good UI. So I recommend for all my people who play Magic out there, play Eternal.
Wait, when you say it's basically just Magic, first of all, Hearthstone was basically just Magic.
No, okay, shut the fuck up because you're wrong, and let me tell you why you're wrong. Eternal has the mana system, carbon copy from Magic.
Oh my God.
2, your monsters attack your opponent, and then your opponent declares blockers.
Oh my God,
it is literally magic. All right, and there's 5 colors: white, green, red, blue, and black.
And then
it is fucking magic.
Yeah, that would just be Magic.
So
Wizard's gonna sue a bitch.
No, you're fine.
You think so?
They're fine.
Okay.
If Magic cared anything about what happens online, they would actually update their UI to have like, a real Magic.
Make Magic the Gathering Online not suck?
To make it look like Hearthstone? Yes.
It's fair. Now, to be fair, though, Gwent is actually, its pro scene is starting to pick up. Like, that's actually a thing that's happening.
It's good. Gwent is such a good game. Like, I spent as much time playing Gwent in The Witcher as I did playing The Witcher.
Nika, you should play Gwent competitively.
You should. Oh my god, we need a professional Gwent player on our team.
I will get back into it. I did play the beta of the Gwent, like the standalone Gwent, and they changed a lot and they made it very difficult. So I just kind of took a break from it.
In order to play a card game competitively, you have to be smart. So I'm not sure if Nika is really
said fat.
Nika,
I was actually really good in the Gwent and Witcher.
I went into a disc replay and they had The Witcher 3 for $14.99, and instead I went next door to GameStop and bought For Honor for $60.
I mean, you probably should have got both. For Honor is a good game, and
How much are you playing For Honor anymore?
I'm not, because 3 days later Horizon came out.
Yeah,
that'll do it.
Well, not only that, but I mean, really, like the player base has really fallen off. Like when you hit that XP curve, like you feel it.
I talked my other roommate into giving me $60 for For Honor so that I can pre-order Mass Effect and he can have For Honor because he really wanted to play it.
You talked your roommate to give you $60 for For Honor after you got it and didn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Man, everything and Fusrodation in the chat saying Horizon is amazing and Nier. Everything I've seen from Nier kind of makes me not want to check it out.
It looks really weeby.
Well, outside of that, I knew that it had some kind of weebiness to it.
Are we talking about Nier or Neo?
Nier.
Automata.
Far.
Yeah, but like, there's like. It switches wildly between gameplay segments. Like, one moment it's sort of like a bullet hell. The next minute it's like a platform. It's weird.
Really?
We got it, so I'll let you know whenever we get around to playing it.
All right. I'm curious because I have the first one, the one for PlayStation 3, and I feel like that was way more of like a straight ahead game, like a RPG with some like action elements in it. And I was like really kind of confused when I was checking out some of the streams and footage of Nier, the new Nier.
Yeah,
game,
now that I think about it, I was asking someone in chat about it when I was streaming. They said, they're like, well, do you like Bayonetta and like Devil May Cry? And they list off a few other similar games. And I'm like, eh. And they're like, well,
yeah,
maybe
that
don't
seems
get
fair.
It
that seems like kind of a fair comparison. Which they're not; those are totally not my games whatsoever.
Those are also good though.
Yeah, not my thing.
I wasn't big on DMC, but I liked Bayonetta.
DMC
was good.
Came around at a really weird time where I was like, anything even tangentially related to vampires is not going to play a role in my life.
There was definitely that aspect,
sparkly or not. I don't give a
was so much fun.
I don't give a shit. Put all the emo haircuts you want on him. I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah, I think the last game that I played that involved vampires where I was like, yeah, this is okay, was Symphony of the Night. And then after that, I wasn't going to touch it.
Last one that I played that I enjoyed that had vampires in it was Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That was actually a really good RPG.
Wait, I was like, based on like the White Wolf book?
Because I've seen that on Steam for pretty cheap before, but like when I looked at it,
it's super dated now. I would say you'd probably have trouble playing it now.
What was the gameplay on that? Like, because it's based off the role, like the table or the book game, right? The RPG?
Yeah. It's been so long that I don't remember. I mean, it's not one that I finished. I didn't like it that much, but that was the last one that I played, and I was like, all right, I can get behind this.
I don't remember the last game that I played that had vampires in it.
Yeah.
Last game I played was...
technically Mass Effect had a space vampire in
I want to say it was...
The last game I played was Magic.
I want to say...
Witcher has vampires, and that's an awesome game, so...
Didn't play that.
I want to say Vampire the Masquerade was at least a little bit similar to like a first-person perspective RPG.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit not unlike Morrowind.
All right. I can get behind that.
Yeah. I think that's...
Oh, wait, yeah, there we go. That's the last game I played that had vampires in it. Morrowind.
Yeah.
Skyrim has vampires in it.
There you go.
The Witcher 3 expansion has one of the best vampire characters in all of literature.
Is it Dracula?
No.
Then no, it doesn't.
Well,
Is it Dr.
Regis is a great
Acula?
character.
No, Dr. Acula is absolutely
Is
the best
literally the best
vampire ever.
You
Oh
said
yeah,
doctor, you know.
MGS2 had Vamp, who was kind of a vampire, but not really.
And yes, I did see your screenplay, and as much as it pains me to say, it's not the worst thing I ever read in my life.
No.
Twitch has announced their own desktop app, though it should look somewhat familiar. Last year, they bought out Curse and have now rebranded and updated it into their own application. The app will allow for screen sharing, voice and video chat, community servers, and mod tools, but will also be updated to work with Twitch's social applications. And in addition, the program will be tooled to work with Twitch's upcoming game server as they begin to sell games directly through Twitch. The app goes into open beta on the 16th.
That's exciting.
I actually am going to go out and say that this is probably a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
This is... Like, Curse was already really well liked.
Yeah, it was. I never used it as like a social platform.
Yeah,
so I never really interacted with that end of their software. Here's the thing that I think is really awesome: the audio and video sharing.
Yeah.
Now, when I saw, because Twitch was doing a whole bunch of panel presentations out at PAX East, and they were streaming a whole bunch of shit. And I saw a conversation about the app that actually really excited me, because they said, for shows like this, where you have some people that use webcams to be able to connect, that they're...
Why'd you cough that?
They're making this software specifically for a show like this.
It's for us?
Yeah.
It's for honor?
Well, I mean, like, that the quality and stuff like that is being paid attention to. Basically, what they were saying is that, hey, it's not Skype. So
it's better than Skype.
Oh, okay.
I actually I've been impressed with Zoom, which we've been using since switching off of Skype. I mean, Skype still to this day is like the worst. It adds so much more background noise that it really is frustrating as an audio engineer. And
it's amazing, like because we have Nika over Zoom, and as soon as we have like a caller call in, you immediately start hearing that background hum again. You're like, oh, I thought we were away from this.
Right, exactly. And I really hope that it will be a competitor to Zoom, because Zoom is a paid service. We have to pay for that, or else the call keeps ending every 45 minutes.
40 minutes, yep.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. So, in order to avoid that, we got to pay for it. But if Twitch does their due diligence and has enough, filters and stuff like that they can put on it, and it sounds good. I mean, shit, if we can even get an even better sound from Twitch's app, of course I would end up making the switch over. And not only that, but it's another way for people to call in. Like, if we don't end up using it, like if we end up staying with Zoom, right, that's just another way for people to call the show directly. And you don't have to download Skype, you don't have to download Discord, you do it right, boom, from Twitch. And I think that's super, super cool.
And it's cool to continue seeing Twitch trying to bring everything in-house. Like we talked, maybe it was on Checkpoint that we mentioned, but we talked about their new social media thing, Pulse, that they're doing. That's kind of like their take on Twitter. They're trying to basically have their own take on Steam with being able to buy the games directly. They're trying to bring everything in-house.
And I was really critical of this whole Pulse thing until now that
this kind of makes it make sense.
Yeah, the desktop app definitely does make that move make a whole lot more sense.
Not to mention, I actually kind of thought about this a little bit too, and bringing a social aspect into it, like when you think of all the other really big social sites that are out there, or even all the ones that failed miserably, I think the reason that Pulse might succeed is if you treat it more as like a social app for your gaming friends, right? Like, how many people have we met in MMOs that once they know us or think that we're buds and we're cool, they try to send you an invite on Facebook and you're like,
right, Raunchy, just stop.
You're like, hard pass,
right? But something like this, no problem. Look us up on Pulse, all good.
Yeah, right.
I can see that. And at this point, Twitch doesn't have any kind of competitor to OBS, right? Isn't that all they're kind of missing right now?
Wait, what do you mean?
Does Twitch have any competitor program to OBS?
There's one other
Extreme or
XSplit,
but Twitch doesn't own it.
tons.
Is there a lot though?
But I mean, is there one that they own and run? Like,
no,
straight from
no,
That's
not
what I
that
mean.
Twitch owns and runs. No,
Like, that's kind of the only thing they're missing to have the whole Twitch experience basically be in-house, right?
It's some type of broadcast.
Some sort of broadcast software.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I think that that's a bit much. I think that that's a bit superfluous at this point. I mean, to be fair, there have been streaming softwares that have run in browser. Livestream and Ustream actually had in-browser.
Right.
Were they good though?
No.
But I was thinking, like, with this, like, with them having video sharing and screen sharing, if you could automatically just like combine that with the, like, not have to put that through OBS, like if it just went through that app,
it would be cool. Yeah,
that'd be great. Like, and that's kind of the only thing I think they're missing from their experience, to have everything in-house and not rely on anyone.
But it's superfluous.
To be honest, though,
but isn't being able to buy games superfluous too? I mean, we already have Steam.
Not when they get part of the money.
Yeah, not when we get 5% of each one of those sales.
Okay, but is anyone really going to buy games through Twitch when you can just buy it on Steam?
Yeah,
that's what remains to be seen.
It's an extra step you won't have to go through. People are lazy.
But I mean, like, not just that, but yeah, it does seem like Twitch is trying to roll everything into a single platform. And yeah, it would be cool if it was able to like auto sort the sources, but at the same time though, because of how open the API is with Twitch and how much integration we already have with things like, you know, OBS, that there's going to be plenty of plugins that are going to be developed to be able to allow Twitch to talk more to OBS. And I think that we might end up seeing something like that.
So even if they don't have their own broadcast software, they'd probably still implement certain types of integration that makes it talk to each other well.
Yeah.
My favorite integration is the tip jar, where you used to see little things fall into the thing and they go everywhere.
If too many fall at once, yeah.
That's my favorite superfluid.
What?
Go away.
All right. For more information on the news and other stories, visit our blog at finalencountercast.com.
All right. Thanks, Callie. All right. We've been rambling here for a little bit longer than
for like an hour.
Yeah.
Can we talk about
That's
dicks?
a lot of news.
That was there was a ton to talk about this week.
Yes.
Lots of dicks.
Yeah.
I like when there's a lot of video game stuff to talk about.
I agree. It does make this a lot easier.
So
Can we talk about card games more?
No more card games. This week we saw the release of Logan.
Yes.
Which is been getting tons of great feedback. One of, I would say, probably the most critically acclaimed movies of the year. Definitely the most critically acclaimed movie of the X-Men franchise, outside of maybe the first one. The first one got a lot of praise because it was new. It was cutting some new territory, right?
Fair.
So, but I would say that among the fans, like among people who really enjoy X-Men, that everyone who's seen it has said this movie is fucking incredible. So let's talk about some R-rated superhero movies.
Sure. I mean, like, we're seeing R-rated superhero movies kind of come into prominence now. It's nothing new. Like, R-rated superhero movies have been as far back as the 90s.
Blade did it first.
Well, not even, like, wasn't The Crow before Blade?
But like mainstream ones that people are like, remember everyone was freaking out about Deadpool being rated R, and it turned out to be fantastic. Same with this one. So,
well, and I mean, some of them have gotten like good like critical acclaim. Like Watchmen was pretty well reviewed and pretty well liked, and it developed a cult following, if nothing else. But Deadpool was definitely the one where like it took off. Everyone was into it. It made a fuck ton of money. It made it was $760 million, I think, on a $58 million budget.
Well, and what was cool about Deadpool 2 wasn't just the fact that it was like, oh, look, our ratings can work. They took this concept that for years prior, that when any movie exec or Hollywood person looked at it, they were like, I don't get it. There's no way this is going to work.
Right.
It wasn't just that it was R-rated. There were so many things about Deadpool that just flew in the face of the Hollywood structure of superhero movies. I mean, you had like a whole, maybe 3 really main characters in it instead of like an entire team of them.
And the two of those main characters were very lesser known, like Colossus and
I'd say Colossus. He's part of the original X-Men.
I guess
Negasonic for sure,
yeah,
though. Like
It's
we're the
super popular and big.
Shut up.
Wait. I don't think Colossus was part of the original squad.
Are you sure?
He might have been, but when you think of the X-Men, like Colossus is probably not in your first 10
Well,
that
no,
you name.
I don't think he's like. I wouldn't put him
Not
in
in
like
the
the A
cartoon,
team. But yeah, he was in there pretty early on.
Yeah, definitely, and he's a good character too. But I mean, Megasonic Teenage Warhead, really
super great,
awesome name. Though.
I mean, yeah,
I do love the story for how she came about. They were sitting down, they needed another character, and they were running low on money, and they're sitting down with the execs and just talking about which character they want. And they're going down the list, and eventually they're like, "How much for Negasonic Teenage Warhead?" And the execs on the other side are like, "Who's that?" And there's like, "Yep, that's who we want. That's the one."
But like Deadpool though is it played much more on contemporary humor.
Oh, sure.
And I don't know, like in 10 years, 15 years, like that movie's definitely not going to hold up.
You don't think so?
It's going to be kind of weird because you're right. Like at the very beginning, him saying like, wait a minute, he just turned that guy into a fucking kebab. And now after Logan, it's like, well, anyone who's coming into this 10 years later that's not going to seem so shocking.
Well, and not just that, but I mean, to me, the writing. It was like an episode of Archer. It was like a 90-minute episode of Archer. That's how. I mean,
that's fair though. That's fair,
and that is praise because I love Archer. I think the writing staff on Archer is great, but I just don't know. Like,
but Archer in 10 years might not hold
exactly
up
because it's so rooted in like now, right? Like that quick fire pace of humor.
The sort of internet age. Like, I mean, this is the type of humor that we've all been doing for years now. This is the first time it's really made its way into some type of like big mainstream, media sort of thing, and they realized, oh, this works,
right?
And Ryan Reynolds had to fight tooth and nail to get that movie rated R.
Yeah,
I think he actually threatened at one point to leave the project if it wasn't going to be rated R.
I think that might be true. Yeah,
and I mean, like, I don't know if they actually believed him that would be that would actually end up happening because he argued for this movie to happen for 10 years. But we've seen now Deadpool be really successful, and we've seen Logan. It's already made back its budget on week 2 at this point, and it's still going strong. It's going to make a fortune before it's all said and done, especially once the overseas numbers start coming in on it. And it's got a lot of critical acclaim. My concern is, are we going to start seeing just a glut of superhero movies now that are rated R?
I mean, look at Suicide Squad. I mean, Suicide Squad is the first one that I roll out because
it was PG-13.
PG-13.
Was it really?
Yeah, PG-13 Suicide Squad.
And I think that one would have benefited from being able to have the freedoms of rated R.
It probably would have.
No,
it would have benefited from being a Marvel movie.
Here's the problem with that, Nika, because I don't think that just giving it a rated R movie would have given it the freedom you think. Yeah, okay, they would probably had more violence, more blood and whatnot. But the reason that Deadpool and Logan succeeded wasn't just because they were rated R. It's because the fact that they were rated R, they were taking a chance, right? The movie studios basically said, all right, you know what? You've made a good case for it. We'll see how it works. Here's your little bit of money. Here's your rated R rating. Show us what you can do. And I feel like the execs didn't have their fingers in those pies, right? So not only were they allowed the freedom to put it in our rating, but they were also allowed the freedom to craft the story and a narrative in the way that they wanted. And what is exceptional about both Deadpool and Logan is these aren't your typical big AAA blockbuster superhero save the world stories.
Yeah.
They're very insular. They follow a very strict and personal narrative about a few select characters. And even if you look back on a lot of the Marvel movies, some of the greatest points, like in Avengers Age of Ultron, the farm scene, there was no action happening. That was all just pure character stuff. It was some of the best storytelling in that movie, and Joss Whedon had to fight for his life to get that included in the movie. They didn't want it. They're like, that's boring. Who wants to watch them on a fucking farm?
Right. And you got to wonder, why would Fox be the one to make that decision? Because both of these movies are connected to the X-Men franchise, even if tangentially. And I think that the reason that you end up making a decision like this, like, they had a perfect storm of influences. You had three back-to-back X-Men movies that not just were bad and critically panned, but did poorly at the box office. So
Not
you had
poorly enough to make a
you had a
still made a profit though.
You had a franchise on its heels, right? Like it came back a little bit with First Class, but then it all went to hell.
all over itself again.
Yeah, exactly, right?
We did well. Pissing all over themselves at that point.
So when you have when you have a franchise that's on its heels, or even a movie studio that's on its heels and it's desperate to kind of make its money back, they'll be much more willing to go and try adventurous things in order to stand out from the competition.
And then the leaked test footage happened.
Yes, and again, having Ryan Reynolds as the push on the inside against the studios in the system was also a critical piece to have in play, because you had audiences that had become disenfranchised and disenchanted with the X-Men, and then you had Ryan Reynolds, and you had this sort of like you had two big factors that studios actually pay attention to. None of this other shit, these podcasts, these fucking YouTube reviewers, like none of that means anything.
Yeah.
Especially not to studios. The bottom line means something, and their star power means something. And so you had this confluence of like great things that happened that happened to make Deadpool a thing, and they worked for like they had almost no budget on the thing too.
Yeah, $58 million on a superhero movie is nothing.
Yeah, it's sort of like I think I compare a lot of stuff to Adult Swim because I think it's probably the best example of a successful millennial aimed brand that has, and it's been around for like 15 years at this point. It's been around for a long fucking time
on the cheap,
and it's still good. Like, it's still just as funny and biting and witty today as it was when it started. And when Adult Swim started, you're right, Robbie, it had no money, it had no budget, it had nothing behind it. Those guys were working overtime for free after finishing up on the Toonami block to be able to make Space Ghost. And it's like little by little you get these sort of like incremental successes to be able to get a big broadcasting company like a Turner, like a Sony, to be able to go, oh, there is a market here. And then once you get that first little bit of injection of capital and of funding, then it just explodes. And I think that there's a specific way to market stuff to that demographic that 99.9% of companies, corporations, and brands miss the mark on. So,
and I think you're absolutely right, but like it comes back to my concern though. Are we going to now see a major glut of this? Is this going to become the hot new thing to do?
But even if it is that really a concern? Like, if they're all good, who cares?
Well, if they're good, that's fine, yeah. But inevitably, they won't all be.
No, but you mean that's going to be a fad, so some of them are going to be good and some of them are going to be horrible.
That's the problem, Nika, is that certain studios, let's take Fox, because they're the one that have both of these, really great R-rated movies that just did amazing. The problem is that Fox is going to look and say, oh, that's all we had to do. We have to make them rated R. So
clearly that's why the Fantastic Four failed, because we didn't have a fuck scene in it.
So that would help, to be fair. So, when New Mutants comes out next year alongside Deadpool 2, they make it rated R, they throw in a bunch of violence, and then when it flops, they think, oh, well, crap, we made it rated R. Why didn't it work?
You know what's going to be the real test? I think, and I mean this genuinely just because of how complicated the project has seemed to be, is going to be Deadpool 2.
Complicated?
I think
they've been losing. They lost the director early on, didn't they? And they had to replace him.
They didn't lose him. I think that from everything that I read, basically him and Ryan Reynolds had a different take on it. It was an amicable step away, but that that was it. It's actually been going along pretty well.
Outside of him, I think it's okay.
They've just cast Domino. They're still keeping it close to the chest on who they're going to cast as Cable.
But there's a lot of room to fuck this up. Like,
there's always room to fuck it up.
But the sophomore shot is the one that matters.
Yeah.
Like, you can get a lot of things right without even trying. And now that they know people are going to be watching, the studio is going to have way more input on it. Because it's a cash cow, the studio is automatically going to want to have input on it. And I don't know that Ryan Reynolds is going to be able to keep them at bay. I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep them at bay.
I don't know. I think if you bring in $760 million on a $58 million budget, you get some sway. You get to say things
you
like
get a wide,
you get
a wide berth. But I mean, but again, like Reynolds has as much of an opportunity to fuck this up as any of the studio input.
You look at the history of second movies and superhero franchises. Iron Man 2 was not good.
No.
Thor 2 was not good.
Avengers was good, too.
But it wasn't as good as the first one.
It wasn't.
Captain America 2 was good.
Yes.
Yeah,
Winter Soldier.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, though the Dark Knight would be the quintessential.
It really is. Yeah, that's sort of
Soldier.
like the Empire Strikes Back of fucking superhero movies.
Now, you don't think you got to see Logan? So have you seen the teaser trailer for Deadpool 2 or the tease for it yet?
Yeah.
Okay, that was so far like if that's the kind of humor we're gonna see, I'm thrilled because that was funny as hell.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing though. I don't think the humor is hard to nail down. It's where does a Deadpool sequel lead you? Because there wasn't really much room from the first one, like, for a part 2, you know?
Right, it was a vendetta story and it's over.
Well, in terms of canon, they could go a bajillion different ways because Deadpool ends up popping up in the weirdest places in the comics.
Especially with Cable showing up,
absolutely,
too. Yeah.
Absolutely. But at the same time, though, I do worry about the humor because the humor, even by the end of that movie, I was sort of like, it was already starting to wear a little bit thin.
You're dumb.
A character but a character that outrageous and that quippy, I think that you're going to have a tough time having him carry 2 movies in a row.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to take the spotlight off of him at least somehow. And I mean, they had the very serious foil with Colossus in the first movie.
You don't think that Cable would work as a good foil?
He's got to be a different kind of foil.
Well, obviously, he's not going to be obviously he's serious, but I don't see him being the same type of serious that Colossus was, because he was like big brother, like, you know.
Colossus is a Boy Scout. That is not Cable.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So, I mean, but in terms of comedy beats, like, I think they're going to have to spend some time away from Ryan Reynolds in the second movie to be able to give him the breath.
I agree, because you know what, that is so true in the comic books. The Deadpool comics wore really thin because of his shtick.
Yeah.
But where he was really good is in the Spider-Man Deadpool comic. That comic that is running right now is like 20 issues in, and each comic is better than the last one.
A lot of times his features have been better than his actual books.
The other thing to keep in mind too is like Deadpool, the first Deadpool, that was literally all about him. Like, yeah, Colossus and Negasonic were there, but they were both minor characters on the edge.
But it was his story.
Yes. So in Deadpool 2, they're bringing in Domino, they're bringing in Cable, and both of those two, I don't think you look at them as secondary characters. I think that they can hold just as much weight in the movie as what Deadpool does. So at this point already, you could divide the attention between 3 characters, and I think that that's enough to split up and make it so that Deadpool and his, his personality and his jokes and his quippiness doesn't become overbearing.
I'd like to see them eventually, maybe in like the third movie, do something akin to the Deadpool Secret Wars that we saw in the comics, which was basically a retelling of the original Secret Wars, but it reveals that Deadpool was responsible for almost everything that happened in it at every point in time.
I like that.
It literally takes panels from the original 80s comics and then splices in new panels where it's revealed that Deadpool was the cause of something. Yeah, that was a great story. I'd love to see them go back through some of the X-Men movies and reveal that Deadpool had a major hand in it.
That would be great. Or
that'd be an amazing story.
And he could even narrate a lot
what's
of it
going on.
See, like, I think that Deadpool, again, as a character, always worked best as a feature and as opposed to his own books. His own books did kind of wear really thin for me,
absolutely,
and because it was always his interaction with the other superheroes
Definitely.
that really drove the humor and that drove my interest in it. Like when he was off by himself or doing whatever, I was so uninterested in that.
Yeah, well, it's his, like, it's the other characters reacting to his fourth wall breaking that makes the fourth wall breaking work.
That's true too.
It's kind of like there's a scene in Deadpool though where he does the fourth wall break inside of his fourth wall break where he's talking to the lady. I'm like, all right, that's funny because she's just like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like that kind of works. But you're right. It's the comics where he's teamed up with Captain America or teamed up with Wolverine or Spider-Man. Those are always the ones that are interesting.
And they made mention of it during the film. They've even with an increased budget, they've still got a very limited list of superheroes that they can pair him with.
Yeah, absolutely. And
until the wider Marvel universe is available, I think that his applications can be pretty limited too.
But how much do we want them to have access to all of that? Because Logan and Deadpool, those are the two that worked, and both of those, again, were very small casts. So my question is, obviously they can make that work, okay? Whatever the next rated R movie is, if they take that smaller, intimate look at a story, I think it'll be fine, right? But just giving a rated R movie to the next X-Men movie or the next Fantastic Four movie, that's not going to save anything.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
And like, to be fair, yeah, the only movie right now coming up that is pretty much a guaranteed R rating is Deadpool 2. But I mean, there are things in the pipeline like X-Force or Gambit that you could do as an R-rated story.
I don't think they're going to do Gambit.
I think
R-rated.
Gambit's done. Well, I don't know that Gambit's.
No, it's still going. They've recently got another director. They're set to start filming sometime this year.
I don't know.
And I think, I mean, the reason that all this comes up is I looked at this and thought, we're doing a show now that is about, us as gamers when we were young and what we want to see in gaming today. And I think that, like, us seeing these R-rated superhero movies come into popularity is kind of a reflection of that same idea. What interested us as kids, it's hard to swallow it as watered down and like PG-13. We want some grit and some realism and some depth to it. And that's why I think these R-rated movies do well for an adult audience.
And comics, to a large degree, weren't necessarily aimed at kids. They were aimed at a growing audience,
right.
an aging audience. And when we found them, there were many books and series that were explicitly for older and adults that still featured those same superheroes.
We were past the campiness of the 60s when, like, we were finding comics like late 80s, early 90s where there was a lot of adult themes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so when you have that as an aspect to your source material, obviously you're going to want it reflected. And I now look, granted, the studios are put in a tough position because they're spending a lot of money to be able to, they're obviously effect-heavy movies. They've got to pay for the licensing on top of it. So there's a lot of money that they've got to make up on the back end.
Yeah.
So taking risks with superhero movies is not. I understand why it took so long to get here, but you're right. Now that we're here, it can't just go to like craven depths. You know what I mean? Like,
right. There needs to be a measure of control used with it. You need to let the story dictate the rating. You can't go into and say, like, we want to do a Justice League movie, but it has to have an R rating. Well, it doesn't make any sense for the Justice League. Now, Justice League Dark, they made that work in the animated movie. It was actually pretty good. But your story that you want to tell, let your artists tell their stories and let the rating be what it is.
Well, and what I wish that they would take away from these two movies, too, isn't that superhero movies need to be about the spectacle. You don't have to be like, all right, what's the big thing that the X-Men are going after this time, right? Take your characters and you say have the story dictate the content, but I'd like to see the characters dictate what the story is. Because for me, reading comic books, it was never about, what's the biggest bad that they're going to fight. It's how the characters interacted with each other and like the characters, going after each other. In the death of Spider-Man, my favorite part of that was seeing the events that led up to it, and then afterwards seeing like all the different heroes at Spider-Man's funeral. Seeing Aunt May slap Captain America, oh, my heart.
It was a good moment. You're right.
And I think that we do want that reflected in our media. When that punch gets pulled, when you can look at the source material and go, yeah, the source material did it better. And for no other reason than, well, some people might not like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that. that's a bad reason to do anything. That's a bad note. That's a bad note for a studio to give someone who's, in the middle of their creative process. And so, I think that this does, what? I think the thing that I'm saddest about most is that because Logan is Hugh Jackman's last foray as Wolverine.
They finally get it right.
Well, not just that, but I think that the perfect crossover there is Wolverine Deadpool, because it always
Deadpool
has
wants
been
it so bad. Ryan Reynolds wants it so bad,
and it has been. It has, like, that crossover, like even going back to the comics, has been traditionally great.
Yeah, you're right.
So it is a bummer that we won't see that.
Sure, it was his last one. It was a great note to go out on, but he is the Brett Favre of comic book movies. So even if it's just like a 1% chance,
I don't know, man.
I'm still holding out because he said he'd come back if he could be in a movie with the Hulk.
Patrick Stewart said he would do Xavier only in a Deadpool movie.
Yeah, that's true. That came up as well too.
Dude,
I would dig that. I would love to see them have a conversation.
But like the thing is that if you do a Deadpool Wolverine team up, it's got to be like the whole movie. You know what I mean?
It can't just be like a cameo.
It can't just be a cameo. Yeah. It's got to be Deadpool and Wolverine, like, on the fucking title card, man.
Oh God, I want that movie.
I know.
That's like that's the only thing that bothers me or makes me sad about Spider-Man going back to Marvel is I'm not going to get Spider-Man Deadpool. And I want that so bad.
Take the bleakness of Logan.
Yeah.
And then have Deadpool commenting on how bleak it is the whole time.
Yes.
Like making like self-aware jokes about how like overwrought the scenes are, or the coloring of like the muted colors that they use.
Yeah.
Or just how fucking depressing everything is. And you have him doing a running commentary on
Basically,
that.
every comment that the audience makes while watching the movie, like there's so many things that I was able to call out because like we know where this is going. Come on.
Yeah. Oh man. I want
All
that
right,
movie.
now I have a question for you guys because you mentioned that we don't have very many R-rated movies coming out. Obviously, we have Deadpool 2 coming next. Are we forgetting that Seth MacFarlane right now is making? Wait, is that the right?
Seth Rogen?
No.
MacFarlane. The other MacFarlane.
Todd MacFarlane. Sorry,
Jesus Christ.
Seth, I'm like, that isn't right.
Clearly, yes, we did forget.
Is currently writing the next Spawn movie.
Okay, we've been hearing that for like a decade. So Todd, either do it or don't. Come on.
Is there a studio behind it?
I don't know if there's a studio behind it.
Is he taking it to Kickstarter? What the fuck is he doing with it?
But the comments that have been coming out on social media recently is that he wants to put Deadpool and Logan to shame as far as the R ratings go.
Good for him. Make the movie and we'll actually talk about it.
That's what he did with the comics and the comic books. I mean, look, I get it that they sold a lot of issues because they were really controversial for the time. I don't know that Todd MacFarlane can really keep up. What is he going to do? Like, honestly, it's all body horror that we've seen unless he radically changes the designs of everything.
Yeah. If he casts John Leguizamo as a crazy clown again, I'll still go see it.
You'll see anything with John Leguizamo, though.
Yeah.
You like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Way too much. It was so good.
No,
I need to watch that again.
Excuse
Can we watch
me.
that right now?
The Super Mario game. You have a plumber who saves a princess from a dragon and eats mushrooms and flowers to get powers. How do you make that into an actual good movie?
You don't.
I wouldn't really call
Thank you.
Bowser a dragon.
You just don't make it a movie.
Okay, they did as good as they can, and it was awesome. I stand by that.
He likes Shaq Fu in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
God, you have the worst taste of any human being I've ever met.
I'm gonna stream Bubsy 3D.
Oh, you should
as a charity stream for Escalia.
You should absolutely do that. Go ahead. Stream Bubsy 3D. Have fun.
Callie's
Get that
boob fun.
PS1 up.
Callie's boob fun. There
you
we go.
Yeah.
Boot up that PS1 and have fun with your non-shaded, non-textured surfaces.
Why are you so salty about Bubsy?
You
I
really
owned it.
Did he hurt you as a child?
You really hate Bubsy.
Yeah, no, Bubsy was straight up one of those. All right, we talked about this one other time about going out and renting games and like having to have a backup. So Friday afternoon after school, I rented Bubsy and I found out what garbage it was, and that's what I had to play for that weekend. And I will never get that weekend back as long as I live. And I've hated Bubsy ever since.
I feel like his parents like had a birthday party for him once and someone dressed up as Bubsy, but then he paid him an extra visit after dark. And that's really where this like hatred of Bubsy comes from.
I got raped by a guy in a Bubsy costume?
Still
this is dark. What could possibly go wrong? Hey, come here, kid.
It's the rated R episode, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I want to go home now.
Too bad. You have another show to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so, I mean, R-rated superhero movies, I hope that they don't become a fad. Like, I hope that they don't become the next thing.
That they're utilized appropriately.
Right, do it when the story calls for it.
Like, take the right lessons from this.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I would say that anything that Marvel's got in, coming down the pipeline probably doesn't need an R rating. Most of those properties.
No, in fact,
what they have been doing is, and again, Marvel's been succeeding, so I don't think that they're going to be shook by Deadpool or Logan or anything that does well. Like they know what they do well, and they're just going to keep charging forward with it because they planned 20 years worth of films in one cocaine fueled fuck session or something.
Actually,
I don't know what the fuck that was.
I do actually think though they can learn certain things from Logan and Deadpool. Not in the R-rated movie sense, but in the smaller, narrative-driven
that's
thing.
fair.
Yeah, which they've said after Avengers Infinity War, that's like the big spectacle end
But that's where they started, though. I mean, if you think about it, Iron Man 1 was incredibly character-driven.
Yep.
That was all about, not just Tony Stark, but how good Robert Downey Jr. was as Tony Stark.
Today, Iron Man still holds the record among Marvel movies for the biggest opening weekend, and that type of storytelling is what they're planning on going back to after the Infinity Wars.
Yeah, which they
sense.
need to do.
Yeah, they should. It's great. Well, all the original movies built up to Avengers, and now everything's building up to this huge climax for them.
Yep.
And then once it's over with, you get back to the basic stories.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what post Infinity War Marvel looks like.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very, very different world, and I think that this is going to be a really good opportunity for them.
One of the things that I read recently was that the reason they can't tell us any of the titles that are coming after Infinity War is because it will spoil the outcome of Infinity War.
That's fantastic.
And good. It should, yeah.
Good. Great. Then they're smart.
Five Nights at Bubsy's.
Oh.
I think though, if every DC movie that comes out from now until the end of time has an R rating on it, you know who to blame.
Yeah.
DC is really just chasing. They just chase so
I know.
hard.
DC does R-rated movies, but only as animated movies for whatever reason. They don't want to take the chance on doing one.
Well,
in live
remember
action.
the DVD release of Batman vs Superman was R.
Great.
Take a chance. Do the Killing Joke. Do Death of Superman. Do something.
Except they did the Killing Joke as an animated movie, and they my god. You
can easily reboot that, right?
It was so bad. They had Bruce Wayne and Batgirl. Did they actually sleep together?
Oh yeah.
Okay, they actually slept
I
together.
don't know if they slept together, but they fucked.
Yeah. Okay, they fucked. It wasn't just
They
like
sure
this.
did.
It wasn't just this weird attraction. At some point, Batman thought is a good idea.
Listen. Bruce Timm has an obsession that I can't explain because he's tried to do it on 3 different occasions now. Where he's like, "But what if Batgirl and Batman kissed? What if?
Aren't they related?
No.
No, it's this is Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, it's Barbara Gordon.
And Barbara Gordon. So it's the commissioner's daughter.
Yeah. But
Okay.
he just wants them to kiss for some reason. She's old enough, but not old enough. Old enough, but not old enough.
So what's the problem?
Well, Bruce is in his 40s or his 50s.
They're both bat people. It makes
Age
sense.
ain't nothing but a number in love, right?
They're just going to make more Bat kids.
Listen, it wasn't great. Although I will say that what they added on for Batgirl, that was almost more interesting than the actual Killing Joke storyline.
Well, because not only did they sleep together, but afterwards, Batman realized, that was a bad idea.
That was a bad call, yeah. And then he forbids her from being Batgirl.
It was just really awkward between them up until she gets paralyzed. It's just.
And then it wasn't awkward?
No, then it's just
awkward.
a different kind of awkward.
Right.
Yeah. No, it was
he has
all
to
awkward.
save Commissioner Jordan, then be like, by the way,
Commissioner Jordan.
Gordon.
I gotta lace up my Air Commissioner Jordans.
Commissioner Air Jordan.
Yeah.
Arrives to the crime scene with his tongue out.
If you want to see a good R-rated DC movie, watch Justice League Dark.
Which is on my to watch list.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, that's it.
Pretty amazing that Commissioner Jordan can sink so many threes, right?
You want to put a better end cap on the end of your subject, and all right, that's it.
All right, that's it.
That's it. Wait, I'm glad that I've taught you so well.
You've taught me
in broadcasting.
I ended this episode
We're
almost
done.
the same way.
Bye. Peace out.
Okay.
See you later, fuck boys. Bye.
Okay, this is getting to be a pretty good ending, so we need to stop.
Can we just agree Lego Batman's better than all of them and be done with it?
I don't know. I heard that Lego Batman was too gay.
Well, no, there was definitely
I
something
love
going on
Lego
between
Batman.
Joker and Batman.
I remember
whoa.
that
It was so funny.
there was some right-wing conservatist group that said that Lego Batman was too gay. All right, so that's what I'm going with.
Well, I mean, you got to see Condiment King, and really that's all I ever wanted out of a Batman movie.
It was so good.
The commentary there that where they just ask, like, wait, are you making these up? No, those are all real characters. That's an excellent commentary on 60s Batman, so I'll let that go.
All right, I guess we got a call.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, we'll take a call from Alex Johnson. What's up, Alex?
We don't have a call. You need to call me Kooky first before I can pick up the thing.
Wait on it. Oh, this is good.
Hey, did anyone see Samurai Jack on Saturday?
No.
Oh, it's great.
Is it?
Yeah. You want darker Samurai Jack, where he's now like the future's gotten to him finally, and he's haunted by his past? Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Sounds more like Dark Knight Jack. Am I right?
Is Phil Lamar still doing the voice?
Yeah, same
The
voice
guy
as
from
Samurai Jack.
Nintendo?
Huh?
No, it's the same
Phil
voice as
Lamar?
Samurai Jack.
Oh, that's Reggie.
I'm pretty sure that's Phil Lamar.
I didn't know that.
I think it is.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the same voice for Samurai Jack. The only voice that's different is Aku because the voice actor died.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Dragon Sword says it's me. For some reason, Skype isn't working.
Oh.
All right, well then.
Womp womp womp.
I guess never mind. Sorry, Alex. Dragon Sword, whatever.
All right, that's it.
We're done.
That's it.
Thanks for listening to Final Encountercast, guys. We appreciate you checking out the show here at twitch.tv/Final Encountercast. Remember, the show starts at 1 p.m. on Sundays. So make sure that you're here and hanging out and joining us. FinalEncountercast.com if you want to subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play if you search for the LBR Podcast Network. I highly suggest being subscribed to that one so that you can check out our new upcoming Checkpoint podcasts. Be excited for those. I want to thank everyone, including Kooky Persona, who's been hanging out answering our phones, and my crew, Nika Kyanian, as well as Robbie Landis, Fat Tuesday, and Callie. I don't know what your last name on the show is supposed to be anymore.
Sloan?
Shithead.
Butt stunts. Anyway, all right,
Ugly face.
we're out of here. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Butt stuff.
Final Encountercast is a production of FinalEncountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Nate Bender, Robbie Landis, Callie Sloan, and Kooky Persona. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. For links to articles mentioned on this show, check out our live blog at FinalEncountercast.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.